What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast.
Well, welcome to the Cheers to Freedom podcast. I am your host, Josh Taylor, and I'm with my co-host live with Levi McClendon. Levi, we're here at the Freedom Summit in Sandestin, Florida. How are you feeling so far?
Yes, we got live audience.
We do. We have a live audience.
Thank you.
You guys have been in a live audience before, apparently.
Yeah, this is incredible, Josh. Year number 2 here in Sandestin, and it couldn't be more happy to be here. And I got to draw stick figures on a whiteboard.
You ran out of room because you were drawing your family?
This is true. But I got to do it. That was on my bucket list. I know this whole thing is yours. Mine was just to draw stick figures.
Well, I'm glad that we could help you accomplish another bucket list item. So one of the things that we've been talking about, obviously we've been talking about marketing content, and the last 2 sessions that we did here at the Freedom Summit have been more practical marketing, the power of a lead, the power of being able to text leads, and then you took us through the loyalty programs that OptSpot is building out and offering with our customers and how important those loyalty programs are. But you opened up with an intro that was a little bit more personal, and it was more about why we're here. And those of you that are listening in and you didn't get to attend the summit, when everybody walked into the summit this morning, they had some swag on their tables. They had a notebook, they had a pen, a hat. And, OptSpot, if you're at an OptSpot event, you have to get a hat. And also, by the way, we love when you guys wear those around at the car wash shows because it's just fun to see our name all over the place. But there's also a Yeti mug that has our OptSpot manifesto on the back of it. We talked a little bit about what that is and who OptSpotters are. But there's also a book. And this book, we haven't really discussed it yet, but this book is important. It's important to our team, and we want to kind of give you a little bit of backstory of why we decided to give you that book and why we feel it's really important for you guys to not just take that book and use it to prop open a door, but to read it. Maybe on your plane ride back, start reading it. I think once you start reading it, you're not going to be able to stop reading it. But we want to talk a little bit about why we gave you the book, Who Not How, by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy. Because it's really transformed our company. And we're going to talk about some, the importance of that and goal setting and this idea of where we're taking OptSpot and why it's important for our customers, because I believe if they apply the same principles, they can begin to get the results that we're beginning to get in their businesses as well. So let's talk a little bit about how we ended up with this book.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. And when I first opened, the little exercise that I had our customers do was to write down their freedom number. What does that look like today? Write down your freedom number. I had them cross it out just for the listeners that aren't here, and you should be here, so maybe sign up for next year. Little plug for Freedom Summit. But basically, I had them cross that number out and double it. And it was pretty cool because the response that I got back from all of you guys that are
Y'all
here
all
was
had the same face.
You're like,
what?
Oh, wow.
And somebody actually said that. What?
I'm like, what? Like that's a lot. And Josh, that comes from it. And honestly, that's only doubling your business and not even, the 10X is kind of the big thing right now. Hey, 10X this, 10X that, and whatnot. And so I wanted to just kind of bring back or let these guys know kind of the origin of what had happened and what took place. And number one, the reason that this book is here, the reason that I'm even thinking 10X, the reason that we've kind of gone through this content is because this gentleman over here, he doesn't know I'm going to do this to him, Bill Goff, invited Josh and I to a Dan Kennedy event.
So if you invite us to cool places, we'll talk about you from the stage. So I would love to talk about Hawaii or, say something.
Those would be nice places to be invited to. I get it. Now, we went to Ohio. Honestly, it wasn't that great of a place that we went.
Cleveland.
It's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland, man. I've never been to Cleveland before.
But the point of that, Josh, is the same reason that I look at everyone here today that decided to show up, right? And I tell this to my kids, tell this to employees, people, like, show up. When you show up, you don't know what's going to happen. You guys don't know what you're going to take from here that literally change your life. I've been to so many places, events, conferences, and whatnot, just from showing up, thinking I was going to get one thing, got one little nugget from somebody or something that has absolutely transformed my life. Go with Bill. We're going to a Dan Kennedy. And again, we always reference him. He's been around forever. He's a marketing genius. And I'm like, cool. It's kind of it literally is a kind of a setting like this. It's pretty intimate and small. And it's Dan. I got to meet him. Like, that was pretty cool because Dan's like friends with him, or Bill's like friends with Dan. So we get to do this. Bill invites us to this dinner. We go to this dinner. We're at these, I don't know, there's probably like 20 people or something there. And these are like legit. These are authors of books I've read. They're like super successful business people. And so like Josh and I are sitting there going like, this is...
We were, quite honestly, we were wondering why we were in the room. I
It's only because of that
There's
guy.
20 people in the room, and we start hearing the names of these people, and I didn't know their faces, but I've read like half the people in that room's book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are like who's who, and Levi and I are looking at each other like, what are we doing here?
We're nobodies. So, but we were Bill's nobody, so that we were a who, which is great, and we'll get to that in a second. But part of that conversation, there was a gentleman I was sitting to next to my left, and we started talking about this book called 10X is easier than 2X. And I love books, love to read, love to educate myself. And I was like, is that a good book? And he's like, oh, and then somebody, oh man, you got to read that. And this, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, immediately I download the book. I started listening to it on my way home. And the most impactful thing that happened to me at that event was listening to and reading this book. And it's called 10X is easier than 2X. So it'll reference in this book, because the author of that book is also Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, okay? There is another book. It's called, I referenced The Gap and the Gain today, right? We're tying this all back together. The third book in the trilogy is called Gap and the Gain. And so when I read this book and started thinking about 10X, and it's this perspective is what we tried to show you today even, is like, you've got to think. He talks about how if I were to 10X our company, or if you guys were to 10X, or even at this point 2X, right, your revenue or whatever that looks like, what does that look like in the future? So if we were to continue to grind what we're doing today, like kind of do the same thing, and man, we're showing up to work, and we're doing this, and we're handing out the flyers, and we're, the free wash, and we're, it's the same thing in our business. If we continue to do the same thing over and over again, we're going to have a 10%, 20%, whatever that growth rate is, we're going to have it, which is awesome. But if you want to like go to that whole next level, then you have to perspective. You have to look at it and say, what does it take for me to get there? Now, we're not going to get there in a year. We're not going to get there in 5 years. I don't know what the time frame is. But until you see that, until your perspective changes, and all of a sudden you realize that, holy cow, we can actually move the needle. I can work less, and I love to work. We were just having this conversation a second ago in the hall. I love to work, but I also have a life. We need to get to that life. So what are the things that we can implement into our companies, into our lives, that are going to help us get to that level, that are actually going to help us to honestly work a little less and even make a little bit more? So sorry, that's kind of a long intro to that, but that's how the original story started in the first place.
So when you and I started working together before I was on the OptSpot team, I took you and Jeremy through the Donald Miller's Hero on a Mission framework, and it's kind of it helps you build out your life plan, but it's professionally and personally. Where do I want to be in a year from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Where do I want to be 10 years from now? And it's important to write those things down. And you and I were in Orlando, you, me, Nick, and Jeremy, and we were actually about to leave, and we were talking about some of the content that we're doing here, and we had just spent a lot of time as the four of us together talking about who, not how, and some of Dan Sullivan's other opportunities. And you said, hey, send me the Hero on a Mission thing that I wrote out 2.5 years ago before I was here. And so I looked it up in my archive of emails. I found it, sent it to you, and then I started reading it to refresh. And you wrote a revenue goal down there for 5 years. Here's where I want OptSpot to be in 5 years. Here's what I want our revenue to be. You reached that in 2.5 years instead of 5 years. That showed me two things. One, when you get the right people in the right places, the who's in the right places, you can exceed your goals. The other thing it told me is you, like almost every other business and leader out there, we set our goals too small. And that was why we did the exercise this morning of now double it. And your response was no different than the response we would have had. But we think too small. And when you and I started reading these books, and Jeremy started reading 10x is easier than 2x, and these other books, we began to realize we can do more than we're doing. We are capable of so much more. So let's talk about you've started building a team of who's, and I make fun of you because you sound like an owl a lot of times now. He's just saying who, and you get on to me all the time because I'll start doing something. He's like, you're not the who for that.
Yeah.
You have a team of who's that should be doing that. But like most of us in this room, we're if I want it done right, I'm going to do it myself, and we have to get past that. And because I would always preach to you, if somebody else can do it at 80% as well as you do, that's good enough. So you, this last year, have been able to walk away from the business for 30 days. You literally sailed away or flew away to Europe for 30 days. And we really thought that you were going to be working in the business and stuff. And you thought you would too, but while you were there, you were like, man, I'm having such a good time with my family. There's nothing on fire at work. I don't have to check in. And like probably 28 of the 30 days, you were not involved in the business at all. My first question is, did you ever think that you would be able to do that? And then my second question is, how did you do that?
From reading books, Josh, many years ago, a lot of the books that I'd read, they would say you have a successful business or company if you could literally walk away and it would manage itself, right? For 30 days, 60 days, whatever that looked like. So I've always wanted that. It's like I wasn't able to do that, but it was because of me and my own fault getting in my own way. So it was because it was my idea. I was the best one to do it. I mean, that's just my mentality. And it's not because I think I'm all that. It's just because I didn't trust or have faith in the people around me. And you helped me a lot with that when you did come on. But like I said earlier when I opened up, when your why is bigger than your how, right? When the reason behind it is bigger than how to do it, then you need another who, right? You need somebody else that can help you. There was a goal. I told you guys the story of my family and my kids. So my sextuplets turned 16 this summer. So a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, my wife's goal for them and for us was for them to turn 16 in Europe. Okay, so we had the why, right? Like, this is a big deal. The fact that she had sextuplets and they're healthy and alive and things are amazing, right? Like, this was a big thing for us. And so that became kind of our why. It's like, how am I going to get there? How are we going to be able to take our kids to Europe? And it wasn't just...
That's
hey,
a question in itself.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't for a week or two.
To Europe?
But it's for 30 days. She's like, nope, I'm going for 30 days. And I said, listen, that honestly sounds like hell. Like, I literally told her that. I'm like, I don't push back on a lot of things with my wife. She's amazing. If you guys have met my wife, like Jenny, she's awesome. If you haven't met her, get to know her tonight. She's incredible. So I don't typically push back, but I'm like, like we're not going to Europe for 30 days. Well,
yeah, you did anyway.
She was pretty convincing, and she's like, no, we really are going to do this. Like, we need to do this. This is the, sextuplets, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. How are we going to do this? And so immediately it's like, how have we got to prepare for this? I'm going to have to leave, and I'm going to be working the whole time, and and obviously the money and the time and the commitment. So something I didn't get to about the who, not how, but in the 10X whole philosophy, they reference who, not how, of course, a bunch. And so that was kind of it came down to not the how, but who was going to do things in our company. And as I started, this is even before this book, to be honest, I was like, okay, how am I going to be able to, again, get to where we need to be? And so we did. I just, started taking your advice and knowing that 80% if it's done 80% as good as I would have done it, then it's good enough. Reality is, and they tell you this, that these people are better than I am at it, which is awesome. Just this conference, him on stage, this Jeremy, I mean, all these guys. And so I had to get myself out of the way, right, and say, these are the right who's and the right places in order for us to get the company where it needed to be. And we did, man. We went to, so that was like a year and a half ago. Fast forward to just this summer, and we were able to go to Europe. I barely even worked. Like, I checked email. Like, sometimes I felt a little lost because, I'm used to, like, that's our thing. Oh, I got to check, see what's going on. And I just said, you know what? This is my time with my family. I'm committing to this. We're going. obviously we have the team in place, and we didn't skip a beat, man. And we had an incredible time. We just took the sextuplets for 2 weeks, which are really cool. And then my younger kids and Trayton and Griffin, my two older boys with the tuplets, got to go with us for the first 2 weeks. And then the others joined for 2 weeks. And it was an epic vacation, and the company thrived while I was gone. So
Yeah,
it can happen.
it can happen. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why we're having this conversation and the reason why we're doing what we're doing. It's the Freedom Summit, not the Marketing Summit. What does freedom have to do with the marketing company? Like, why did we choose to call, and really you came up with the name of what we call this. Why did we call this the Freedom Summit? And what is the real reason why we gather people here? Is it to talk marketing?
We're going to talk marketing as a tool, as you know. So we're giving resources, but man, you got to paint the picture of what are we aspiring to be? And Josh isn't telling the story about me so that you guys, oh, look, he went to Europe for 30 days. That's not what it's about, because we work our butts off to get to where we're at, right? So we are here, but he constantly, and I feel guilty about that. And Josh is like, no, dude, you worked hard to get here. Like, enjoy, go take your time off. But that's what we aspire to do. We want to have that ability to do that. And so this whole concept, when we launched a course, is not about the, what's going to get you there, but what is the end goal? I mean, what are we all looking for when we go into business or any, choice or decision we're making? It's freedom, and it's freedom of time. Like, time is finite for all of us. We all have the exact same amount of time. You happen to be in the car wash space. It's funny, I've talked to a lot of people here like, well, I wasn't planning on getting in the car wash space, and then, got into it, and I'm like, oh, crap, I actually have to, be in the space, and it's new, it's different. But you know what, guys? It's just like any other business. Like, it's a tool. It's just a journey along the way. But the ultimate goal, I think, is to impact other people's lives positively, and then have that freedom of time to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah. So I came across this quote.
Came across this quote.
Came across this quote. Started to sound like the Elmer Fudd. I came across this quote the other day that said, if you are spending time with people, or the people that you're spending time with look at your success and say things like, well, it must be nice, then those people are not your friends. We need to surround ourselves with people that not only celebrate your success, but push you to be better. And so it's for me, as Levi gets to do these things and go off for 30 days. I mean, those are things that people talk about. For me, as part of his team, and I know Jeremy and Nick and everybody in our team feel the same way, that means we're doing our job well. And if he had to be in the weeds of his business, and if he had to do everything and connect all these things and have all the conversations, then there's no value that I'm bringing to the business. And so I can measure my success based on how successful. And the more things he gets to do like that, the more that trickles down to us and the amount of freedom that even our team has. So with that, we're talking a lot about freedom. We call this the Freedom Summit. We're talking marketing things. We're also talking goal setting, and we're talking to both owners, and we're talking to, some of the people that are here, some of you in this room are marketing directors. You're part of a marketing team. You're a marketing coordinator. You're not the owner of the business, but you too can live and build the life that you want by being able to build a team that's strong. And I want to talk a little bit about how we've built our team, because people have asked, even last night, we've had a couple of conversations, because our team, I was number 7 employee. You called me 007. And so that's how I remember. I was the 7th employee, and now we have 21 full-time employees, or 20 full-time and a couple of part-time. So that's a lot of growth and a lot of time, which can lead to its own problems in itself, but we've held true to this work hard, play hard, no drama. And so people have asked, how have you guys built this team? And I would say, and then I want you to hear your perspective, what I would say is almost everybody that's been hired in the last year has come from a referral from another one of our team members. So our team knows our culture. Our team knows how passionate we are about our customers. Our team knows the standard that we have to treat our customers with excellence, to treat them as if they are a part of our family, and to do our very best for them. And so they're not going to recommend someone to come work with us if they don't meet those qualifications. And that culture part of it is probably the number one. But that also means that that referral that they have represents them. Like if Drew is going to recommend Jimmy, which he did, because Jimmy was one of Drew's good friends. Drew has a lot of good friends. If you know Drew, Drew's like one of the friendliest people you know. So he's probably got, I have like 2 friends. Jeremy, Drew probably has 1,000,000 friends because he's so friendly. But Drew looked at Jimmy and he said, Jimmy is a great candidate for the job that we need because he fits our culture. He works hard. He's a great guy. He doesn't bring drama into the workplace. And Jimmy's crushing it. And this is the first time we got to meet Jimmy in person, and he's fit into our team in person just really great. So I feel like our team's success is because we've been able to hire from referrals from within. But you see another stage because you do the hiring. You and Jeremy really do a lot of the interviewing. What is your perspective on the success that we've had there?
So I'm going to put a pin in that for just 2 seconds. I feel like that I don't want to be put on a pedestal of like, hey, I get to have this freedom and blah, 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 because you guys are my who's. So when I read this, because this, you can be guilty, right? Like I have been guilty of taking some of that time off or whatnot. And the who, not how, when I read in this book, and you're going to read this, that I'm also the who for you. I'm the who for the team. You're the who for the people that also work for you, because they need you as much as you need them. Does that make sense? And so that helped me, like, because I was like, man, you almost start feeling like, oh, well, they're going to do all so that I have all this. No, that's not it. They are also making strides in their life, right? And our job is to put them in the right places so that they're happy doing what they are called to do. And we call, in the book, you're going to read about this unique ability. They talk about everyone operating in their unique ability. And if you're not the who for it, then find the person who is within your company. I'm changing that because I'm on this identity kick to the unique identity. So it's within your company. If you operate in your unique identity and you're happy, you want to get up every single day and you love what you do, then that's the right place for you to be. If you're not happy in the place in our company, like if you're not where you need to be, man, I'm the first one to say, where do we need to move you? I love you. You fit our culture. You may be in the wrong seat. So let's get you in the right seat so that we can literally I'll build a department around somebody. You know, we're doing that with Stacy. I would never get into digital, advertising. I've looked into it. I tried to be how do I do this? Looking at it. No, I was just having this conversation. Google AdWords and blah, blah, blah. What the crap am I doing?
We were literally consulting with Stacy, and then we were just like, why don't we just hire you?
We're just hired. Like literally. So those things, again, it's really important to know that I am the who, and I feel better about that. Like you're the who for those around you as well. So wanted you to
and that's a good point, because you guys need to remember that there are people that work for you. You have the opportunity to either make their life miserable or help them build a life that they love. That is, to me, as a business owner or as a leader of a team, that is part of your purpose. Like, do the people that are under my care, do they love what they get to do? And I think for our team, you've made that clear. Jeremy has made that clear for our team, that you are important to our team, and we want you to love what you're doing. And if there's anything you're doing that you don't love, then let's find somebody who does love it and get that off of your plate, so that if you're doing what you love, you're going to do it really, really well. You're going to do it with excellence, and we all get to participate in that success.
Yeah, so a couple things just to answer your first question on we've all adopted the work hard, play hard, no drama. And we talked about that earlier. And that is the culture. That's our framework. That's everything to us. It's, work hard. That means covering a shift for somebody. That means it's Sunday afternoon, responding to a customer. We just dive in and we get the job done. And that's, again, that type of philosophy or culture is contagious. And when you have people on board, when they come on board, it is super clear. You have to be really clear with who you are as that company. And then, again, people that are coming on board have to meet those requirements. And for me personally, I talk to everybody that and we're not huge, right? But as we're bringing on new people, I personally have the conversation with them. I let them know who we are as a company, the culture of the company, the goals, what we're about, what we expect. Because it's really important, I think, as the owner of the company, I don't see myself ever not being that person, because culture is everything. And and when you have that culture, that drama piece, honestly, goes away. Like, we don't have drama, and I'm, knock on wood. And if we do, we get rid of it. I say hire slow, fire fast. I know some of you right now have people working for you right now that you don't want to get rid of because they're filling a spot that they're not happy in and they're doing a crappy job.
And
Get
they're
rid of
bringing
them.
the drama.
I'm sorry. Now, I'm not like, oh, whatever. Or put them in another seat. It could be that they're in the wrong seat. You may like the person, but they're just causing a problem or an issue, or you can't figure it out. Don't, again, hire slow, fire fast. And then, be the one in charge of your culture. That's something, like I said, that's very dear to me, dear to this company, and I don't think I will be the who for the culture of this company.
So we've read Who Not How. We acquired Washmore Media in January, so there's a lot of things going on this year. We had the Freedom Summit. I don't even think Zach was acquiring you even on our radar at the Freedom Summit. So we made that decision pretty quickly after some conversations with you guys and realized quickly that your team fit our culture. So we acquired you guys, which also means we started a whole lot of new products in this year. And so that now we're doing the digital ads with Stacy, and now we're doing a lot more websites, and we're doing graphic design, and we're doing social media stuff, and we're doing reputation management, and we're adding a whole lot of new products. But even in the midst of all of that growth, rapid growth, you were able to step away for 30 days. Our team, while we are busy and we work hard, our team isn't burning out. And I think it is because we protect that culture. We protect one another. We hire from referrals from within. And I think that that's important for you guys. Like, talk to your team members. Talk to the people that are there. And as you're looking for people, your employees, especially your employees that are rock stars, are a great resource for more employees. Because rock stars hang out with rock stars. They're not rock stars if they're hanging out with people that are dragging them down. So that's a great resource for employees, and hire from within. And what I want to do in just a second is just to do a Q&A with you guys on this topic specifically. But talk quickly about this unique identifier and why that matters to you.
Well, I think everybody desires to do what they love to do. And I think that, we all have God-given gifts in our lives. And a lot of times we'll take a job or we'll do something that we may not be super comfortable with, but we think it's the right thing to do, and we're just doing it. I think when somebody is operating in their God-given gifts, they operate better than somebody who's just going through the motions, just showing up and doing it. So our goal, and you can ask, I always use Drew because poor kid has been in like 5 different positions because there you are, Drew. Thanks, buddy.
That's what happens when you get a lot of things, Drew. Sorry.
So, but he's fantastic. But I always go back to saying, hey, how are you doing in this role? What is that? Not just Drew, but whoever, because even though he would do, guys are going to work, like they're still going to get it done. They want to be a part of the team, which is part of that no drama. But you still have to go out and say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Does this role fit you? And if it's, if they give you a little, yeah, it's good, then they're probably not in the right role. But when you talk to them, they go, oh, man, it's awesome. Things are good. Like, okay, cool. You're in that right role. So just because they're good at it doesn't mean that that's the seat they should be in. Does that make sense? And so a little plug for Culture Index, just because you guys have heard of personality profiling, and there's a lot of different DISC tests and different things. We use Culture Index. And so with Culture Index, you can have your, every one of our staff has taken the Culture Index test, and then it helps us understand their strengths, their weaknesses, what do they like to do, where, what type of jobs, and how to even reward them, things like that. And I highly recommend a program like that you implement within your company so that you can, just because they're great people, you don't always know, where they're operating or where they should be. So I recommend it.
Yeah, and if you want to connect with the Culture Index, talk to Levi. He'll connect you. There's a guy a friend of yours that has worked with several car washes that can do that with you. So get that from Levi.
Probably should have him. I think we're going to have him on our podcast at one point as well.
Sure.
So because I think that is very important.
And I'll tell you this, and this could be a practical tip for you guys. a few months ago, we Rachel and I, my wife, went to you guys. We were still living in Mobile at the time, and you guys were at a tournament in Foley, Alabama, for one of your kids, and so we came to watch, and we went to dinner afterwards. And so it's Jenny and Levi, and then Rachel and I, and then your two youngest and my 8-year-old son, and they're just kind of doing their own thing, begging for coins for the arcades. And I will never forget this, because one day when I'm in your position, not your position in OptSpot, but your role as a business leader.
Hey, you never know.
When I have my team, this was profound to me. But Jenny looked at my wife, not me. She didn't ask me. She looked at my wife and she said, "How are you feeling about Josh's workload?" I'm just tired. That's why I'm getting emotional.
It's been a long day. It's been a long week.
And if you knew where I was before I came on staff at OptSpot, I was working for another company and was so stressed that I was having health issues. I was getting ulcers in my stomach, and I didn't realize how stressed I was until I left that role. And for her to look at, to care enough to ask my wife, who knows me well, and cares about me, for her to look at her and say, "How are you feeling about Josh's role? And how do you feel about the workload? Is it affecting you guys? Is it affecting your marriage? Is it affecting you at home? Is he able to spend the time? Are there things we need to change so that the home is working?" And fortunately, things have been great, and Rachel had a great report as she walks in the door.
Good timing. Hi, Rachel.
I'm sorry. I'm getting in trouble for this later, because she's doesn't want any attention at all.
Oh, that is perfect timing.
Y'all pray for me.
And we love Rachel.
So I'm going back to that. So things aren't awesome. So
that was
I'm
good.
not on the dinner cruise tonight, or I get thrown
Live
overboard.
podcast. Yeah.
Sorry. Sometimes when you get a mic, you have no filter either. But
Yeah,
that matters. Your employees need to know that you care about them, and it's got to be more than just money. It's got to be more than just getting cars through. It's got to be more than just doing this task and doing this task. Your employees, when they, and this is such a cliche, but when they know you care, they will treat your business better. They won't treat it like you will, because it's your business. Nobody's going to care as much as you do. But they will treat your business better. And if they're not, they're just not a good person. But when people know that you care about them and that they're more important to you than money is, they're going to help you be more successful. And that was profound to me. So I don't want to belabor this anymore. Unless you have something else to add, I want to just open it up to a quick Q&A. Specifically about this, we're going to do a bigger Q&A tomorrow with everything that we talked about. But anything specifically about this, any questions, or if you have your own testimony or stories of this, we'd love to hear it. And let me get a mic. Jeremy, yeah. And just raise your hand if you want to share anything. Or say a prayer for me.
Oh, turn it on.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Working?
Yeah, there you go.
So we all have pretty young employees, and a lot of them don't get educated about finance. And I love the fact that Dan spoke to all the kids about investing in a 401k, but more importantly, explained to them the difference between paying your credit card debt off versus not. And I think for us, just those little things, sorry about that, about teaching them about finance and about their future and letting them know we care about them has made a really big difference. We have a couple of employees, one of our managers, a couple other people going on 2 years. And so we know what the turn is like these days. So I think those were just really great little details that helped.
Awesome. Yeah. You have a little bit about that. I'd love to hear.
Well, Lisa, you're speaking my language there. One of the things that I want to implement, we have a lot of younger, employees as well now. And I was just talking they were over at our house the other day, and we were talking about, hey, should we invest in, property? Should I buy a house? Should we, what should we invest in? One of our guys actually, Jimmy, coming out of the military, has like some savings and whatever the account that they have, and he's trying to, get that moved. And I thought, gosh, I remember being 23 years old, right? I remember being there. I remember, gosh, do I need to buy a house? What's that pressure look like? Do I need to invest here? Do I need to do that? And so I've had, I woke up the other day at 4:30 in the morning just thinking of what can we do, right, that's going to help elevate these guys and help educate them. And I think that I love that you guys are doing that. And I've heard, other stories of people doing that because they actually care. And when they know that you care, like Josh was saying, the level that they'll step up to, but it's really sincere. We want to help them. I want to help these guys know what to do with their money, how to invest, what does that next step look like, and they're not getting it in school. They're really not. They're getting it from watching their parents, maybe their friends or whatever. So the more that we can bring to them. So we haven't done anything like that, but we want to. And I had a call with my financial guy the other day and said, hey, would you do a Zoom call? Literally I had this conversation. So guys, you don't know this, but we're probably going to do a big Zoom call to actually go through these things as well to help you wherever we can. So I think that's fabulous.
Because Levi wakes up at 4:30 in the morning thinking about Jimmy's savings account. So, Jeremy, I can't. Anything else? Anybody else?
I don't see any other hands, questions.
Anyone else doing something like Googie's doing? Any ideas that you guys have that you could share right back there?
How's it going, everyone? So yeah, something that I really like to instill on my employees whenever I'm hiring them is for them to kind of come to work feeling like this is their business, because for me, it's when I was growing up, I worked for a lot of people, and the owners were never there, never really supporting us. So as I grew up and got the opportunity to have my own business, I wanted to kind of give that back to the younger generation. And so what I do is I have a great example. One of my employees, Charles, the other day he came up to me. He's like, hey, I have a great event idea. Let's try it out. I was like, all right, let's do it. I want you to take care of it. You plan it all, and then let's see how it goes. And sometimes, you got to spend money. If you lose it, they learn something, right? Since doing that, he's come up with our Halloween event that we're doing on the 31st, Haunted Tunnel. He's preparing that. So just because I gave them an opportunity to, really input themselves into my business and kind of treat it as their own, they're able to come to work every day with that motivation and that will to want to do better. Because, the one thing that I tell them is I want them to always think like they're adding value to themselves. Because the more value you add to yourselves, the better off you are, and they excel in the business. And in doing so, everybody, like you said, drama. That's the one thing. When I first hire somebody, I say, hey, drama-free environment. You bring drama to the workplace, you're gone. It's as simple as that. Because if there's not an even flow with everybody, then there's going to be butting heads. And the one thing I also like is to implement on my employees is their constructive criticism. I like my employees to tell each other something. If they're not happy with the way they're working, then they'll work it out together. So there's no confusion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
That's
So
awesome.
you're empowering your employees to let them implement some of the ideas that they have, which means they bring ownership to it and ownership to that idea. So they want it to go really well because it was their idea, which is a great job. And you guys, you have people in your employee pool that work for you that are good at different things that you had no idea. Some of them might be really great at creating TikTok videos. That there was one that we ran in that we worked with that. They would get their employees together and they would do these TikTok dances and they would go viral on TikTok, and everybody was seeing their car wash brand because one employee put it all together and had a lot of fun with it.
We're starting a TikTok thing. We have almost 17,000 views so far.
Wow.
And did you put an employee in charge of that, or
Yeah, two of our
are
girls.
you dancing in front of it?
Not me. I'm behind the camera. No, but no. We've noticed that with the younger generation, TikTok is huge, Instagram is huge. So we hired a film media team who shoots all of our TikTok videos. And, I think the younger generation spends so much time on those devices that, they could show their parents. I mean, it's just easy to get all of those impressions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you said about value. To me, it's huge. I think when you provide value, and that's for everybody out here, like even our team, when you do something to provide value, then you are going to elevate your status, you're going to elevate your opportunity, you're going to be around, like create something to where you're like, they can never get rid of me. Like I brought something to the table. And then like you said, empowering them. I think that's a big challenge of mine, to be honest, is to fully give, and I'm working on this, but it's to fully give a project and say, go do it. Like do it, and then have them come back and then not criticize, not say, oh, I would have done it this way, or hey, how about we do it this way? But let them go through those steps and let them take ownership of the, and no matter what's in the back of my mind, like I would have done it that way or changed this or changed that, just give them accolades. Man, that's awesome. This looks amazing. Great job, right? And then that's going to give them that confidence to go do it again. But if you squander that, if you squelch that idea, do you think they're ever going to want to come back and give another idea? No. So give them that encouragement, give them the accolades, let them learn and grow. And honestly, that is something that, like I said, it's learned, and I'm learning how to do that so that the company can grow and have ideas and things. I don't always need to be the one coming up with the idea, right?
100%, yeah.
And I'll say this, and we'll wrap up with this. You know, we talk about this work hard, play hard, no drama. And the reality is everybody's got some sort of drama. You know, we have bad days. We get in bad moods. You know, my wife makes fun of me because guys have their time of the month as well. And it's actually a scientific thing. I Googled it. But we have mood swings, and we get in bad moods, and everybody brings some drama. And so we're not just saying no drama and get rid of them, but find out why the drama's there. Like just say, hey, what's going on at home? Is there something that we can do? Is everything okay? Maybe they've got a lot of stress. I mean, they're dealing with a health issue, or somebody that they loved is dying, or you know, having some other problems, or maybe they're having financial issues. Whatever it is, people have some things that we know nothing about. So get to the root of it. And if they're just a person that just brings drama wherever they go because it's just who they are, that doesn't have a place for it. But if it's something that there's something going on in life, you may have the answer that could help them. And I would highly encourage you to get to know the people that work with you and ask those questions. So anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I don't.
All right.
That's great. Thank you.
Great episode.
All right.
Hey, thanks
one.
for our live audience for participating.
And if you are listening, text cheers to 411-365. Text cheers to 411-365, and make sure to subscribe. Hit that button wherever you're at, wherever you're watching.
And it really does make us
appreciate
feel
it.
good when you comment, share
Positively.
it, post it on Talk Car Wash and other places as well. All right, cool.